Okay, I believe this is session number 7. And this is where the rubber should be meeting the road because we're firmly into base camp. And tonight, Steve's going to take us through creating a route and all the little nuances you need to know to put a route together and some of the gotchas. So go ahead, Steve.
Okay, so let's get this posted. And all right, so we did talk about some of this early on. Some of it we're going to circle back and see again. But what I want to do is go through a process of how I create routes. Sometimes I use different techniques, but this is pretty common for me. So Steve and I were talking and said, well, maybe we should do something where we're going to go from, my house or my work to his work. All right. So we're going to go do this. Now, I don't have waypoints for my work and I don't have waypoints for Steve's work. So we're going to look at using the search feature, which in here can get a little bit weird. So I did want to use it and show. So let's come down to our examples. And let's take a look and see. I want to find an open spot where we can work. There, I think this one. This February 24th session, I created a list for it. So I actually want to show and remind everybody how to do this. So you'll come into your library. It'll go into a folder where you want to start a route. You will need to then create a list because routes and waypoints go into lists. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to say new list. And that's how we created a new list. The list will be here and then we can rename it, do whatever we want. So I'm actually going to move this. So I had that waypoint. I'm just going to move it from there and get rid of this one because I don't want that there. And this new list, I am going to rename. We know it was for today. And I just copied home in there. So that's one waypoint I do have. Now, the search feature, which is right up here on the top right of the bar of the Basecamp screen, tends to work on the area that's displayed. So what I want to do is I'm going to locate where I work, okay, and see if it'll actually pop up. You could type in addresses and you could type in sometimes businesses, town names, different things. So if I want to type in an address and say search, I know it's in Connecticut. And then you'll see the spinny wheel here. Well, it's thinking. I have no idea why it pulls up ones like this. This is when I say strange, that this is part of it. And
It's
they're nowhere.
close to 100.
Yeah. All right. So now it's saying none. And I know that I found this earlier. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a little bit less work. And now it finds it, right? So I kind of zoomed in on an area. It gave it less to search through. It actually found it right there. Now, I could quickly make this a waypoint if that's the right place by right-clicking on the searched item and say create waypoint. And it will go into the list that I have open. The first thing I'm going to do is open up that waypoint by double-clicking on it. And I'm going to categorize it by this display. I'm going to choose some category that is how I would group it. And you could look, there's different groupings: building, church, bell, right? City hall, library. There's museum, stadium, right? Lodging, right? Restaurant. So for work, I'm just going to call it a building. And everything else is okay here. And for Steve's work, which is in Pennsylvania, so I'm going to open up and come over to Pennsylvania.
Steve, do you have your GPS plugged in right now? Because
I
it
do-
seems like your maps are rendering
Yeah.
slow.
Yeah, I
It might be,
no, I don't want.
might be
Yeah, I got it.
reading off there.
Yeah, no, it's not. I just had it set to highest. So I got I reduced the display. All right, so there, last time I came over here and I right clicked on the item, but you'll notice that when I click on it, it also brings up the waypoint down here. I could also add the waypoint by using this button. Same net effect. But you also have here is create a route from the selected point, add selected the results to the current route, or print information about it. I don't have a route yet, so I'm just going to grab this as a waypoint and I'll set it to a school. Again, I categorize them using the display icons, so it makes it easier when I'm searching through my list of items. There's school. And last, if anybody knows any of the routes that Steve has done with Russell out of Maryland, they love to meet at a Sheetz that is right outside of Maryland here, where Russell lives. Sheetz is a gas station.
Yeah, let me just give a point of clarification, Steve. That address you used is actually not our main campus.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's
That's
learning centers, but I just don't want people to get confused.
Yeah, I'm gonna move it because I see it's right near the Sheetz gas station here.
Yeah.
So take a look. I look for Sheetz and it's showing me a bunch of Sheetz here around the area. And you'll notice they're numbered here on the list and also numbered on the map so that you could reference it. And if you click on an item, it'll highlight the item so you can see where it is. So there's one, there's two, they're right next to each other. Actually, they made that it's the same one, and for whatever reason they're duplicated. There's another. This is the same one that has food, and then there's another one there. So I'm gonna use number 4. I believe this is the one that Russell used, and I'm going to add that as a waypoint, and I will find the other Elizabeth tab. Now, instead of retyping, there is a history here. I'll just enter it, search for it, and I expect, is that the main campus there, Steve?
It's 1 Alpha Drive.
1 Alpha Drive, yep.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it.
Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of the other one. I'll keep this. Yeah. So I had one called Elizabethtown College. It's not letting me rename this because when I deleted that one, it ended up in this unlisted data area. So what I need to do is go here and get rid of these unused waypoints. I can come back to our example, and now this is the problem with duplicates, as I talked about the last time. So now I can rename that, and I will change this back to a school. I always forget where they are. I like to find it. And then the sheets is a fuels. Okay, so now I have waypoints. And we found these, and I like starting with waypoints as beginning and end of routes. It is possible, as I had mentioned, to do a route without that. You can just come up here to you could use the routing tool, and you could draw. I'm just, which is right here, right, a new route, and I'll just show you real quick. You click on that. It wants a starting point, an ending point. It just makes it easier, and then you go. But I'd rather work directly with waypoints. Now you could drag these waypoints into here, as opposed to having to search here. I like this search better than this search. All right, so we'll just go here from work as our start point, Elizabethtown College as our endpoint, and just say go. Right, and now we have a route, and the dialog box for that route is open. I'm going to close this, and what I'm going to do is just rename this Route 1. The other way to do this is I could select the 2 waypoints I want to use. So I select basically by holding down the control button and then clicking on one, then the other. So both are selected. And with the mouse over one of those selected items, I right click and then say create route using selected waypoints. It'll do the exact same thing. You could also have more than one waypoint. So if I want to bring in home and sheets and then say use the selected waypoints, it will then create it. The thing is, it may not be the order that I want. So we'd have to open up that route. You know, we could see what it did because it did route it already. And route 1 is there. And what we could do is I could change route 1 to be a different color so we could spot it. So there's route 1 in green, and the second route I just created with multiple waypoints is in magenta. You could see the extra routing. So I'm going to work with the one with 4 waypoints in it. It'll give us a little bit more to do. So I will remove this so there's no confusion. Also, I'm going to do is I'm going to close out the search screen right here. They call the find panel. So it eliminates the extra items on the screen here that are not part of our route. Now I'm going to just open up the route by double clicking on it and look at the sequence. And this sequence is wrong. I wanted to start from home and end up at the college. So the first thing I'm going to do is sequence them correctly. So I know I want home to be at the beginning, so it needs to be at the top. So I'm going to select it. Then I'm going to use either the up or down arrows to move it. So click once, and every time I click it and move a waypoint, you'll notice how the route will go to all straight lines and start changing the sequence of the waypoints in the route. So that's that. Now I want to bring Elizabeth College to the bottom because I want that to be our final point. So right now it says I'm going to go from home to work to the Sheets gas station to Elizabeth Town College. And if I say, and I'm using the driving profile, which I've got preset. We talked about the different profiles, and we'll experiment with these now as well. And you'll notice that when I hit calculate, it's going to go from the as the crow fly point to point to routed on the map. And since my driving profile, we can go look at this in a bit. In fact, let's do that. And so we all see. So we come up here and come up to the profile menu here. And I'm going to go to edit. You have to edit these from the menu. You can't edit it when you're inside of a route. So go to activity profile, driving, and I can look at the routing, and it basically it's set to faster time, avoid unpaved roads, avoid ferries, U-turns, cable cars, narrow trails, carpool lanes, closures, and climbing paths.
Steve, is that on another screen for you?
Oh, you can't see that? All right. Yeah. it's on-
Now
all
we
right.
see it.
You see it? Is that there now?
Now we did.
Okay. Yeah, because it's a pop-up. I must have had to put it in focus. Okay. So you can see as the driving profile, the settings that are here, as I said, faster time, and the different types of avoidances, and then show avoidance, any avoidance areas on the map. This will get me to my destination fastest time. Now, if I choose motorcycling, and I'm gonna change. I don't know if I want to change this. I'm going to change it. It may recalculate a whole bunch of routes that I have motorcycling set for. So let's see what happens. I just want to do curvy roads so we can see the difference. Okay, so I'm going to let them retain a custom setting, and I'm going to just have curvy roads as a new option. So now if I select motorcycling, you would think it should, oh, sorry, it didn't, it's not the route. There we go. I had to do it inside the route, not the main profile. Now it's recalculating using curvy roads. Now, its idea of curvy roads, if it's allowed to take interstates, may decide to go there. And you'll notice if we zoom in, it is taking an interstate. All right. Well, then this may not be really what we want to do, in this particular case, because my settings for the profile aren't the best. You can set these up for yourself as you start. And I don't usually use motorcycling. I force my way onto roads, right? And I'll show you what I mean. I use shaping points. So in general, I would never travel from home towards work to head to Pennsylvania, because from where I live to down here, this is all highway, this is all congestion all along the Long Island Sound and the shoreline. Normally I would go along here, but we're doing this for practice and to add waypoints. So typically I like to get out of Connecticut and part of New York as fast as possible. While I know the roads here and can route through Connecticut, New York, this area will add so much time. But I'm going to just start creating better routes once I get out here towards New Jersey, just to keep it simple and try to keep me off the interstates. Now, I have no idea where I want to go. I haven't researched roads, but I'm going to start showing you how to place it. And I'll come in and I'll start looking. You notice as you zoom in, you start to see more and more local roads. When you're first starting out, if you stay zoomed out a bit, you could see more. Now I want to switch my screen a little. I want to change up what I'm sharing, because I want to bring up one of my favorite tools for finding roads, and that's Google Maps. The value of Google Maps is being able to switch to satellite view and zooming in on a road, and allows me to see, is it dirt or is it asphalt? Many roads within Google Maps, you could use Street View. So you grab the little Street View icon and you can drop it on a road, and it'll actually allow me to see the quality of that road. So if I'm looking to take back roads on a trip, boy, this would be a perfectly fine road that I would choose. And I would then route through this. A lot of
And
times I'll
Steve,
create-
do you want to demonstrate the street view too? Like if you're not sure what kind of road it is, there you go.
you should see Street View right there, right?
Yeah, we do.
Right, you see it, and in Street View, I can turn around, I could look at it, I could drive down the road. If I want to move on the road, I could move my cursor here to another location and then travel the road. But usually I get a good feel this way. And to switch back to the normal view, you get out of the street view, get back to satellite, and then just click on the button down below for the standard view. The other thing that I'll use to assist on choosing roads is in the layers here is terrain. I'll turn on terrain, and when you zoom out in terrain, I'm going to see roads that run through these hills and mountains here, and say, I would prefer to be here than say here where it's flat. So these are some of the tools I'll do as I'm looking for areas to ride in. And the more you zoom out in terrain view in Google Maps, you start to see more and more area, but you'll see the significant mountains like here, the Catskill Mountains. If you head out, look down here in Pennsylvania, you'll see all these glacier caused hills. And many of the roads follow these glacier hills, but if you cross them, you wind up getting more curviness. It may not get you where you want to go, but understand that by looking at it in this view, you could start to find some really cool areas if you haven't explored. So this allows me to start choosing areas where I want to go in certain roads when I'm staying off the highway. So like if I'm out in Pennsylvania, I can see that this US 209 does start all the way up here and comes all the way down and ends here at the Susquehanna River at Millersburg. 209 is a US route. It's pretty good for traveling. It's just a 2-lane highway. There's traffic lights. But notice that there are plenty of other parallel roads like 25. This one here, this 325. So you could always pick and choose roads and then piece them together within Basecamp. This is, hey, look at this nice squiggly line road here. I'll have to check that out next time I'm down that way. All right.
Yeah, that's a good place. And Route 125 is called the Pennsylvania Tail of the Dragon.
Yeah, I've been on.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Yeah, and Shamokin. Here's 125. You can take a look at this road. I've been on this one here. It's pretty short, but it's got some twists and turns, at least for Pennsylvania. So that's something to think about while you're working on your routes. This is a good way to look and see where things are and what you want to do. All right, let's get back to Basecamp. I'm just going to pick and choose routes and different roads to get us off of these main roads. So I'm going to drag it out and put it on some of these roads that will get me further out into Pennsylvania and then maybe come down some other side roads here. So you'll choose the insert tool. And this is the one that when you click on it and you bring it over and highlight your route and activate your route. Come on. There we go. This is the one that gives you the rubber banding. I'll get this off there. So I said I wanted to start right here in Jersey. So if I want to make sure that I'm going to come all the way down here on the interstate, I'm going to have to select a point here and keep it on an interstate where I want to jump off. Right? So I have to drop a shaping point down here somewhere. And I'm going to do that right here on this 202. And the big thing is on some of these, you got to zoom in far enough because you see this 202 is also not an interstate, but there's a center median. So we have to make sure that I choose the right lane or the correct lane to get me there. The other option is I could say, well, hell with that highway, put me right on this Route 28, and then I'll start using this 28 for my back road. So I drop a shaping point there. It's going to recalculate, get me to that first shaping point as fast as possible. And then it's going to continue trying to do it, the route as fast as possible. So you notice, puts me right back on the highway. But now what I'm going to do is start using this to drop vias. And I'll come over here, just move my map. And I'm going to do this without regard to nice path. I'm just going to pick roads and see what it does. So I'm going to come here to this intersection and say, I get me here. Again, it's going to recalculate using that shaping point. And then I'm going to look where I'm going. So I want to head down this way. So let me get it to this intersection right here. So I keep my cursor over it and it'll zoom in on it. But look at that. That's a major road. I don't want to avoid that. So maybe I'll come down to this intersection. And I have no idea about these roads, but I'm just picking and choosing, and I may then search these out and check them out on Google Maps and see how they are. And we can take a look what it's doing. You see it's coming down through my local roads, trying to find its way back to the fastest route, which probably will get it back to a highway at some point. Oh no, we're close enough. This is good. All right, so getting me to the sheets, but again, dropping me over here to the highway. I can get in there, bring it in back roads by coming in, picking another back road here, and putting a shaping point on this 624. And now I've forced it basically to, whoa. It didn't like that, did it? If we take a look, it's coming down here and it's doing some double track. So something happened with that shaping point. So I'm going to get rid of it. Let's take a look. May have chosen a wrong thing. So notice our route's coming down. My pointer. The route's coming down. You can see the arrows down to here. Here we got an arrow heading towards our sheets. Here it is an arrow heading back. So what's happening, this route actually had, this segment actually has two routes on it. One going to sheets, one's coming back. So we have to be careful where we pick our point from to do the insert rubber banding. So
I think what's going on, Steve, is that Sheets is in another county south of where the college is. So you're driving past it to go to the waypoint first, and then you have to backtrack to end up at your destination.
Yeah. So we see if I hover over here, I can see that leg to get the Sheets, that's one big leg. So I'm going to grab it from over here somewhere. Anywhere, it doesn't really matter because it's all the same segment with no shaping points in between. So this should grab the one that's going to Sheets. And if I bring this down to here, which is, I'm just doing this to force it really wide. And I'm going to zoom in just to make sure I'm actually placing it on the road and not out here. And, and like we saw, Steve's route had some points that were off. And let's take a look where it did. And now what I'm going to do is come grab this one where it's returning. And I'm going to make it come up this way. And you're going to see how awful this is going to look in a way of route. Because it can't find, it's doubling back because it can't get over this river. So now I'm going to force it. And it may not be the best thing, because you see there's no river crossings here. But if I'm going to say I want to keep coming further up on my ride, it'll eventually try to find a way to get us around. And you'll see it finally found the closest bridge, brought us around. If I wanted to do more hunting, I could have said, all right, well, bring me up this way, right? But that wouldn't get me to that sheet. So this is using shaping points to force the route and try to get it into a shape that you want. Now, this may not be optimal. It's probably not what I would use, but I'm just showing you how shaping points will get you and force you onto a specific route. Now, I've only used a handful of shaping points, and we can take a look what would the using the insert tool turned on, I'm going to try to get the whole good part of the route on the screen. So I make sure my insert tool is on, and you'll see if I hover over here, it's showing from my start point or work point to here. That's my first shaping point. And there's my next shaping point. There's my next. There's my next. There's my next. There's my next. These are big gaps. And when you're sharing routes with somebody else, you want to try to add extra shaping points, because my GPS, when I load this directly on it, may follow this. But if something happens where it tries to recalculate and I'm halfway in between these two, it may say, hey, this route that you gave me isn't really the fastest route. I'm recalculating to find a better way. And then it's going to just take you on another road. So if this is the route you want to take, it's better to add additional shaping points on the route, so it forces it. And I'm going to try to, since it's a highway, it's always going to stay there, but I'm just going to show you what it takes to add some additional ones. There's one. I'm going to come down here to where we're jumping off the highway. I think. So I'm going to add another one up here.
Hey, Steve,
Yes.
do those points show up on your GPS, the points that you're putting in?
No. Shaping points. Well, they will. I think they do. It depends on the GPS. They may show up as very small dots.
Because waypoints do, but
Waypoints do, but not shaping points. Now, and that's one of the things I'm going to show you in a little bit.
okay.
But I'm intentionally making some mistakes along the way here to show you. So did you notice when I dropped this shaping point, all of a sudden I got this shopping carriage
Right.
here? Well, the reason that happened is because I was zoomed out, when I went to drop the shaping point, for some reason, Basecamp thought I was actually picking this as a waypoint.
Oh, okay.
Because it's on the map. So what I'm going to do is just first, I'm going to drop a shaping point here. I'm going to exit from the tool and get the remove point, the erase. I'm going to erase that from my route.
Because it detected it as an interest point.
Correct. Even though I'm trying to drop shaping points, because it was a point of interest and I put my cursor over it and dropped the point there, it took it. Now you can see that this isn't really, that waypoint right there, sorry, that shaping point, we use the right terms, isn't really getting me on this road, because it's coming this way. So if I want to stay on this Route 100, I'm gonna have to grab another point on the route here and bring it over here to this Route 100. And same thing here, I'm gonna have to drop another one, because you notice it's trying to route fast as possible.
Okay. Thanks.
Right, or curvy road. So what, you'll need to keep adding shaping points to keep it on the route that you want. And I think this we can keep going doing this. Now,
And Steve, a question. I think you can make shaping points announce.
I mean, that's what I said.
In the
Yes, and I
in
do
the
want to show.
profile.
And I did mention that. That's why I said I wanted to show something. So that I want to just get a few more. And I actually should be. And this, while this may not be appropriate, this is a big gap. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this. I want to get a little bit more into what things you can do with the route. And that, well, once we get into that, we'll probably round out the time here. We'll get some questions and we'll see how the questions goes, and I'll get some more routing tips and stuff for our next point. So let's open up the route.
Yeah, and Steve, you might just want to point out that you could like do sequential. You could have started at your business and just put shaping point and build it.
Oh yeah, you could have
Chronologically.
Yep, but I don't tend to work that way, because I may start my route out here and actually work out towards away from my destination, because what I really want to do is I want to focus on the better riding in Pennsylvania, and I don't care about near work. So let's open up the dialog box for the route, and we could see the waypoints there's home, 100 Sergeant, Sheets, and Elizabethtown College. And we could tell that they're waypoints and not shaping points because they have a symbol. Shaping points have the block dots here. Now, what Steve had mentioned about announcing or not announcing, this is where you could make them show up on some GPSs that do announce and that will support this. And interesting enough, that doesn't always work perfectly and consistently. So one thing I'm going to show you for home, actually, we'll start here. Notice at the end in parentheses, this says won't alert. This is a shaping point I dropped at, and it ended up being at Route 28 East, right? But here it says won't alert. But notice for home and 100 Sergeant, it doesn't have that won't alert. So these will alert. And what that means is if I leave home, when I get to 100 Sergeant, it will announce saying you've arrived at, and it'll tell you the waypoint you arrived at. But it won't do that for this. It'll just give me directions and pass through here. Same thing here, directions but pass through, no alerts. But notice as I come
But
down.
Can you right click on it?
Yeah, I'm gonna
change it to.
I'm going to. So look at this one, because this is the one I wanted to get to. Notice how this one is not grayed out like the other ones here, and it doesn't say won't alert, but this is a shaping point. And for whatever reason, and I've seen this randomly, some shaping points show up as an alert point. So if I right click on this, it gives me the choice here, don't alert, and make it a shaping point. Or alternately, if I right click again, it'll say alert on arrival. And I could change it back. I have another one here. This is one that's set to alert. So I'm going to turn that to a shaping point. And even though these aren't waypoints the way I inserted them, they're treated as waypoints if they're set to alert. But they're only waypoints within your route. They won't be loaded to the GPS as waypoints. And that's a reason why I like putting waypoints in. I'll mention that quick. Let me talk, and since I don't have my GPS on, let me just explain what I'm talking about. We'll transfer, probably in the next session, we'll transfer when I get the GPS hooked up, we'll keep this route. When you transfer a route that has waypoints, you could select to move your waypoints along with the route to the GPS. Those waypoints will be in your favorites. The bonus is if something goes awry and I can't follow my waypoint, I say the weather is horrible and I really don't want to be on those back roads in a monsoon, I'll stick to the highway. I could stop the route, bring up my waypoint to the college, punch it in, and it will get me there the fastest possible, or whatever I have programmed into GPS, right? Fastest, shortest time, or my GPS will do curvy roads. So that's the beauty of having waypoints for points along your route. If let's say there's a detour, you start taking that detour, and now the GPS will keep recalculating, but you're just following detour signs, and you don't want to happen to listen to that thing recalculating all the time till you get done with the detour. You could keep doing that so it tries to keep getting you back on the route, or you can say, all right, I'm totally lost. Let me just get to that final destination or an interim destination. If you don't have those waypoints already saved, you're going to have to do searches on the GPS to find those locations. All right. Questions up to this point so far? All right. So waypoints, shaping points, routes. We covered that in that one slide multiple times. Remember the differences between them. One of the cool things now with Basecamp, and I'm going to show this one aspect of it. Notice on my start and my end, it tells me my depart time and my arrive time. It also tells me the arrive time for every shaping point and waypoint along the way. But only the start point and the end point have a depart and sorry, only the start point has a depart, and they all have arrives. But here's the thing. If I double click on my home point, and out here, not necessarily on the icon, it's going to tell me this dialog. And what I could set is I could turn on departure on a particular day at a particular time. And say, okay, it doesn't need to recalculate the route because the route is the route. It's already processed. But what it did was based on my speed settings in the configuration that we talked about last session, it then reevaluated my time starting at 9 o'clock and telling me my time all the way down. And based on my speed settings in Basecamp, I will arrive at Elizabethtown College at 5:19. Good to know. Let me turn off this departure setting, come down to my endpoint, open that up. Here it gives me the option of arriving at, and I can say, well, I want to arrive at, okay, I don't know, let's say 6 p.m. It'll recalculate it. I need to hit the road by 9:41 a.m. Now, these are conservative estimates. What I've found with that I could usually get there faster than what Basecamp tells me. And once I start moving on the route, my GPS is a whole lot more accurate on time calculation because it knows how fast I'm going at that point in time. But this is really good for planning. Better yet, you could do that at any point along the route. So if you're planning a long route, and this may be an 8 or 12-hour ride, and this sheet's, I wanted to be here by a certain time. Maybe this is a motel before I get to my final destination. I can also open this up, and intermediate waypoints or intermediate shaping points, you can set both the arrival time and a departure time. So if I wanted to arrive at Sheets at 4:39, but actually let's leave it there. Let's leave it at, because that's arriving what time I'm getting there. But if I wanted to force what time, it'll adjust everything. But when I look at departure, I could set it to the next day, or I could say, hey, I want 8 hours of layover time to get some sleep, and it'll recalculate the times based on that. I find this a really great feature when I'm plotting trips.
It's
And
really neat.
yeah, this is one of those things that's a hidden feature. Most people don't realize is there. And you can play with it, get used to it, but it's really more for planning at home. It doesn't affect the GPS, except these, the layover, the GPS doesn't force you to stay there. You do, right? It's just telling you here what times you're going to be. So you'll have to adhere to those times. But it's for planning at home. This is a great tool. Questions on up to this? Okay. Now, I mentioned 8-hour, 12-hour rides, 24-hour trips, maybe multi-day trips. You could do that in here, right? And I could make that, I can add a waypoint on the West Coast, and this will end up plotting me, if I didn't put any shaping points, the fastest way out to the West Coast. It will do it because there's minimal number of waypoints. It would be easy to calculate around here. The downside is it just gets messy to work with a multi-day trip as a single route. And my suggestion is to break up your routes based on a day at a time. So where day one route ends, that the waypoint where day one route ends will actually be your start waypoint for day two. And where day two ends will be your start for day three, and so on. And then it makes it more manageable chunks. when you start shaping. But you could start with a full route, because one of the nifty things is I can copy this route or duplicate it, right? Right here, duplicate it. It'll come up. Can you all see that box that just popped up? Is that showing?
Yeah.
Right. So this one, when I duplicate it, it's going to say, hey, do you want to duplicate the waypoints? The route you're duplicating contains waypoints. Would you like to duplicate these as well? The answer is no. You don't want to duplicate. We want to always use the same waypoints. That's that duplicate issue that we talked about. Now, if you have some hard pressed reason to have duplicates, you could do that, but I don't advise it. So I'm going to say no. It's going to create a duplicate route using the same waypoints. But now I can come into this route and let's just say I want to start breaking it up. So my day one is from home to Sergeant Drive. I can select all of these other points, hit my delete key, get rid of them, recalculate. And now in black, there's my day one ride right there. All right. Do that again. Start with my full route. I could duplicate it again. Come down here to duplicate. Say no to duplicating waypoints. I have yet another duplicate here. Open that up. And now I'm going to get rid of one. Now Sergeant Drive becomes my start point, and Sheets is going to be my end of day. So I'm just going to delete everything else after Sheets, recalculate. This is the longest leg, so it'll take a bit to calculate. And I'll change the color again so we could spot it. Make it red. And then I have my last leg. If I want to create that last leg just like I did it, it's right there. Now, if you look, it's magenta, but that really is the last, that's just the end of the full one here, the whole magenta one, right? But I could create another duplicate, just the piece going from the Sheets to the school. Now, I wouldn't normally do this for a short ride like this, but the concept is the same for full day trips. And this is how you would create it. And then when each time you create a leg, make sure that you name it accordingly. Day one, day two, whatever naming you're going to use. Keep in mind that they'll be the roots will be in alphabetical order here. So if you want to sequence them a certain way, and also they'll be in alphabetical order when you transfer them to your GPS. What I tend to do, so let's see, here's my first leg right here. We'll name it, I'll put a 1 dash and leg 1. You know, and that's my leg 2. Now I don't have to call this leg 1. And here's another way. If I double click on it, here's another way to rename it. I can call this first leg, just so we don't have numbers confusing us. All right, I'm gonna close this. All right, our second leg. Somebody stop me if I'm going too fast or confusing you. So this is our second leg from work to the Sheets. I'm going to rename this. I say 2 dash second leg. You can call it, the name is anything you want. And if I had 3, and I'm just gonna fake it. This is garbage that just showed up.
Steve, I think your pop-ups don't show up on the screen you're sharing. So we don't.
Oh, like that?
Okay. Now,
Right. Can you see that one?
yeah, we see that.
Yeah, I don't know why they're not showing.
They were showing up for me.
Okay.
Okay.
Then maybe it's just Steve. They had to pop up something like him. I'm glad that you saw them. I think it should be showing. Once I switch to full screen mode, they should be coming up. All right. So notice here, one comes, because the 1 is here, it's going to sequence these names by the 1, the 2, and just for shits and giggles, I want to make this one 3, even though it's really not a leg. But what I wanted to do is home alphabetically would come before second. And here it's sequencing by the 1, 2, 3. These names, the 1, 2, 3 with the names after, will also appear in that sequence on your GPS. So if you do it with a number first, you'll start in your GPS from top to bottom, and it's a lot easier to find it than having to hunt through your list of routes on the GPS on which one you want to choose for the day. Even if it's even if I'm only going out for a day ride, I may have a route that is home to our ride to eat destination. Then I may have a route that is our ride after lunch. And then I may have a route that gets me home from our end. And I'll number those 1, 2, 3, similarly with a name, a descriptive name, but it makes it easier for me to find them and know the sequence that I plan to use them. So just a little tip from one of my best practices. All right, we're at 8:51, so let's flip this over and turn it over to you guys. So questions, concerns, things that you want to see next time.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe we should talk a little bit more about ways to find good roads. I know somebody here had a link to a website
All right,
that
so
may be helpful for motorcycle routes.
so there are sites out there. I know Mark, and maybe what we can do is talk more about some of these other websites and apps next time when we have time. And we'll let Mark, you're out there, right? I saw you log in earlier. Mark,
Yeah,
I'm on here.
So how much time do you think you'd need to go through some of those things to just give a quick demo?
Well, I haven't set them up yet, but
Oh.
probably if we wanted to do a couple of the sites, probably 10, 15 minutes.
Okay, so next week, you think will work for you?
Sure.
Okay. Now, so that's using apps or websites to do it. Another best practice that I'll give you is if you follow water or train tracks, you potentially will get curvy roads. And I love following water, especially up in my area. There's lots of rivers. So when I look for small rivers, and I'll try to come over here. So just come over here into New York. Ooh, somebody talking? Some sound like somebody was playing.
needs something. I'll mute somebody here.
Yeah, if somebody got mute. Oh, Jim, that's you. Jim, that's your audio that's all messed up. Sounds like you're playing a banjo.
I muted him.
Yeah, just
Unmuted.
so this is the area where I'll head out, and usually I live out in Connecticut now, but I'm originally from New York. So you can't tell by my accent. And this is while I'm originally from the Bronx, my parents decided to move upstate a bit, and right around this area where I live, there are tons of reservoirs in this area. And you could see the Hudson River right here and all these reservoirs. And these reservoirs are interconnected by canals. And there are roads that go by reservoirs, around lakes, across them with causeways. And to me, when I find a body of water, if I can find a road that goes past it, around it, over it, these are probably good riding roads, curvy, probably a lot curvier than it looks. Plus they're scenic. You got the water. Out in Pennsylvania, it's the same thing. One of the areas that we go to a lot and we've ridden to is Wellsboro. And out here, there are, if I can find the creek. There's actually a creek out here. Where- I find it. I may not be able to see it because I don't have enough detail because I cut back the detail that I'm
I think
showing.
it's right in the middle. There's a creek there.
Yeah,
It's
there's a
one-
river, there's a river down here. And you can notice how that, so Heiner View is a place we'll go if we had elevations here. But you can see how the road follows the river. This ends up being a curvy road, but up here, there is a creek. Hang on, let's just see if I can bring that into play. So it's so small that this is not showing it, but it's in this area. And this road tends to follow it. This you find if you know, again, Google Maps will show this stuff. Oh, wait, here we go. Here.
Yeah,
This is
Tamarack.
Here's one that I wanted to, this is,
Yeah.
here's definitely, so here, look at this. This is Slate Run Creek right here.
Yeah,
Slate Run is another ride that we do, taking this 414. And if we zoom in, you can see here's this creek. And this road follows that. And again, nice, curvy, fun road out in the hills. So again, they're all over the place. You know your areas. If you zoom in on a map, whether it's in Basecamp or in Google Maps, and you find water, rivers, streams, creeks, I find these to be really good to follow. Find a road that parallels them. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they do. In Basecamp, this would not be a road I would take. That dashed line, anybody know?
Not
it's a
paved.
stone road and you need your
Yeah,
ADV.
not paved. Yeah, not paved. And some of
There's a
these,
caveat to that.
yeah,
Sometimes it's actually, even though the date of the map is a year ahead, it's still not caught up. But if you go to Google Earth, you'll find out, oh, they paved that
Paved
last
it.
year.
correct. And thank you, Marty, because that's exactly what I was going to say.
Oh.
But that's fine. This is why I jump back and forth between Google Earth or satellite view and Basecamp, because it may be a paved road. It's just you wind up doing research when you're going into areas you've never been before. You wind up having to do some research. I mean, it's that research is beyond using the tool, but it's good to hear tips and tricks that other people use. I know Marty is
Yeah,
he's a Basecamp user, and he's figured out some of this stuff. So
and
Jim
then
has
don't
a-
forget, part of the fun is you make up your route and you pick roads because you think they might be fun. And then when you ride that day, everything's a surprise, and you do find some really nice roads.
yeah, that's one of the things. I'll do that even locally. I'll pick my destination. I'm going to head to the barbecue joint up on the north end of Connecticut, and I will try to find roads that I have not taken before. And it's hard, because a place that's only a half an hour, 45 minutes away. Yeah, I've probably traveled so many of the roads, so I end up going considerably out of my way. So instead of being that direct route, I may make it a big semicircle, zigzag semicircle going all the way around. But it's things you do.
Hey, Jim's audio was messed up earlier, but I think he put the question he was trying to ask in the chat.
Okay. Let's see.
Uh,
Let's see where it is.
Jim to everyone. It's about the third one from the bottom.
There we go. All right. When attempting to calculate a route using trip planner function, the pop-up indicate the route is calculating but never finishes. No, but if you tell me what the points were that you used, we could duplicate that right now. How do I get the latest map to Basecamp? Well, do you have lifetime maps, George?
Yes, I do, Steve, on both my.
So,
devices. I have-
so were you here? You weren't here last week, were you?
No, I missed a session. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So it depends on which GPS you have. but you will use Garmin Express.
Okay,
So if you, I would suggest when I get it out there and get it posted up there on the web, watch the session from last week.
okay,
And that one we pointed out, and I think it was in an earlier session, we also pointed it out. But Garmin Express will allow you to transfer the maps from your GPS to Basecamp.
okay. I didn't know you could do it the other way. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, and actually I do that all the time. And when you do that, they show up here on their maps,
Yes,
right? I always try to keep my latest map on here because right now I don't have my GPS connected to my computer. I'm just using the maps on my hard drive and it refreshes significantly faster. And as Steve pointed out earlier, my rendering or the refresh of my maps was kind of slow. And that was because I had the details set to highest, which requires more time to draw all that. If you have an older PC or a slower PC, just click it down, dial it back, and while it won't show as much, it will, like you see there, but it will route and render faster. But I like to see the detail because it's important. Okay, so let's see.
Yeah,
Right,
and
so-
I want to point
I'll
one
give it a-
thing
I'll give it a
out
shot. I'll give it a
quickly.
shot taken from Zoom up to my base camp. I'll give it a shot. Thank you.
Sure. All
I
right.
want to point something out quickly. When you download Basecamp, if you have not purchased a Zumo device, they will give you the stock map, which is very, very, very basic. It's really only the major routes. If you buy a Zumo that has the LM for lifetime maps, then you have the ability to use the Garmin Express and have the unlocked maps and update the maps in the Zumo and then also update those in Basecamp at no charge, no additional charge. You buy the maps when you buy the Zumo. Now there is an option, Steve, maybe you can show it in Basecamp under maps to purchase maps. I've never actually tried
Yeah,
that.
I've never done that, and I'm not sure what you're gonna purchase because it has to be compatible with your GPS. But
Yeah.
that's, yeah.
But there,
Hang on a second,
I'm
just trying-
pointing that out because there may be people that downloaded Basecamp and don't have a Zoom again. So the maps are going to be kind of terrible.
Yeah, and I'm not sure why. So Jim, I'm gonna try this instead of wasting time here.
It's Arkansas, not Florida.
Oh, well, there we go. That would do it. Yeah. Okay. So there's one. Let's get the other one. Let's do it this way. Because then I don't have cut and paste errors. Is that right? Is it Roanoke, Texas? Is that correct? Just says Texas. Is it Roanoke? I'm hoping.
Trophy Club, the one right below.
There we go. Trophy Club. Got it. All right. Let's get rid of this.
There's a question about how to open that dialog box.
Oh, this one? Okay.
Yeah.
So let me let it finish doing its thing. So it's something on your computer. Because it did route here. So the question on how did I get that dialog box? That was with the new route button right here.
So I think at some point before I knew what I was doing, you see the button that says don't show this window again. I think I must have clicked that like when I very first started using it. How do I, because I don't get that. When I click new route, it just simply starts a new route for me.
Good question. I've never clicked the button. So I don't want to do it now and have to hunt for that answer.
Oh, no.
I don't know the answer for you, but
I think to get it back, I think I have to go in and click like reset Basecamp to its default settings, but I don't want to do that because
I'm going to look and see if I could find it. There may be.
Okay. Thanks, Steve.
Sure. Because there is.
I think it was under properties or something like that settings.
Yeah, I can't believe that they would
You
force you to
could
do that.
choose.
Try the help button.
Yeah, you could try the help button, see, but I'm not gonna. I'll look for it out of here. And hopefully have an answer for next week. But I've never dealt with that. Quite honestly, I don't use this. You saw the way I create routes. I don't
That's
use
how I
this.
do it. Yeah.
I know my waypoints. I create my waypoints first, and then I create the route by selecting the two, letting it create the base route. I don't go through all that because it's, to me, that's more effort. This is guaranteed because I know I've got correct waypoints. I went through the trouble to find them.
Thanks, Steve.
Sure. All right. More questions. Nothing. I can't believe that we're covering everything in detail and I'm not talking too fast. And time flies when you're having fun though, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think next week, Steve, we should spend some time on the gotchas, the placing of shaping points in the middle of intersections,
Yeah.
misplacing them.
And-
And then we'll have to get into how to actually follow the routes on the GPS. And some